Good afternoon. I will be presenting on behalf of IUT for the next six cities that we have conducted. The initial description, sir, and Nitika madam has already given. The study objectives are mainly standardizing the methodology and data collection, validation on the grounds for SLB, helping cities to replicate the process of implementation, and monitoring the level for the next 2 years. The methodology has already been explained, so I wouldn't go over it. The pilot cities that we took up studies for were for Jammu and Katra, New Delhi, Jaipur, Nanded, Vijayawada and Patna. And the methods or the methodology that was followed were nearly the same. First, we went through various visited cities and spoke to the various stakeholders. Then we had a national level workshop at the planning stage. Then the data collection was done, the secondary and the primary evaluation stage, where the LOS or the level of service and the indicators have been estimated, and finally the report card preparation. That was just a brief of the methodology. Some of the key findings that we found in stage 1 were the availability of data is a major concern, because this study requires a lot of intensive data work. Then a considerable time is required for identifying or collecting or storing the data, and a huge survey cost which is required. So some of the recommendations we come up with in the first stages were a data collection cell which requires to be put in place, and an implementation agency which needs to be identified. So the first city that we come into was Jaipur, which a population of 30.73 lakhs. We have been preparing GIS maps, and where we have shown indicators of all the 10 areas of interventions. If you see Jaipur, for the first year, when the monitoring was done in 11 and 12, there was the changes that majorly we have seen from at stage 1 or the monitoring stage was a change in the level of service for public transport, that was from level 3 to 2, and in parking spaces and road safety also there was a improvement. This was majorly because the public transport facilities have has shown an improvement because of service coverage and the number of buses that were added to the system. Then the parking spaces, more number of parking spaces have been added, and a timely or hourly based parking charges were imposed on cities. And the road safety, though the fatality rates have increased, that's the accidents per lakh population, but the number of accidents for pedestrians and NMT users have decreased considerably for Jaipur. These are some of the pictures of the city. And I go quickly to Nanded, which is a small city in Maharashtra, and with a 5.5 population. And if you look at the levels of service here also, pedestrian infrastructure has shown a bit of improvement from level 4 to level 3 in the later stage. And however, the pollution levels have drastically increased. The pedestrian infrastructure facility is improved mainly because of the signalized intersections number have increased, and however the pollution levels have increased because of the levels of NOx and RSPM levels. Then we've gone for a next level, that next study area, that was Patna, that with a 16.83 population. If we consider the levels of service here, majorly there was no change. Only for the public transport facility, the levels seem to indicate a bit of the levels are more or less the same. This was because the main observations were the service that was the STU that was running the buses have discontinued to run them. However, at the same time, the mini buses have been introduced by RTO. So that's pictures of the mini buses, and previously the buses which were being run under the STUs have been removed. So that is why the level service remains to be same here again. And for Jammu and Katra, it's a really small area and with a less of population, as it's considered to be a hilly city. However, no changes from, if we have seen, all levels are more or less from 4, and they have remained to be the same. For Katra also, there has been no change in any of the 10 indicators. Majorly because there's no proper public transport system. The system is based on basically the taxis and tempos which are running up and down the hills, no STUs under that. And so there is no change of any observed indicators here. Then if you see to the next city, that's Vijayawada Municipal Corporation with a 10.48 lakh population. Here we have seen again, there has been a fall in level of service in road safety from 3 to 4, pollution level from 2 to 3, and financial sustainability from 2 to 3. The major reasons for road safety have, again, road fatalities have increased, and the number of pedestrian and NMT users' death have also increased, and pollution levels and the bus staff per ratio has also increased, which has led to an increase in level, decrease in level of service. For Delhi also, with a 168 lakh population, no major changes have been indicated. However, for if you observe that public transport facility is considered to be 1, and for the monitoring years also it's 1. Pollution levels are again increasing, I mean with a lower level of service. The major reasons are number of buses, though they have been withdrawn, but however we have taken into consideration majorly the metro network, which is increasing, which is giving it at level of service of 1. And however the pollution, as you are all aware of, it is like the NOx and RSPM levels are increasing. So if we basically compare all the 6 cities that we see here, we see that the level of service are majorly, as sir has also pointed out in the previous 6 cities, that it is more or less of 4. And for parking spaces availability, again it is 4. And for the financial sustainability of PT is again 4. So not major changes have happened. And for comparing all the 6 cities, Jammu and Katra seems to have been less affected by anything. So now the action plans which needs to be achieved majorly are for the 10 indicators are like you have to procure additional.
Leave it at that? Yep. I think it's a good idea. Thank you.